Today's a special video where we debate and explain the different types of failures that occur in the economy, market failure and government failure. Fortunately, we are joined by two guests. On the left is Bernie Sanders, a senator and former US presidential candidate who will represent the government side of the discussion in arguing against market failure. On the right, we have Jeff Bezos, current CEO of Amazon, who represents the markets and private business, where he will critique government failure. We'll start off the debate with Bernie.
Thank you, Tharun. First off, working people have been hurt by the so-called free markets and the 1%, and this is thanks to market failure, which is the misallocation of resources by the free market, or when the competitive outcome of markets is not efficient from the point of society as a whole. Economists have used models based on the theory of perfect competition, where there's perfect knowledge of products and prices, multiple firms, homogenous/identical goods, complete freedom of entry into a business for firms, and that firms are price takers. But people aren't always smart. Firms aren't always price takers. Goods aren't all the same. There are barriers to entry, and there aren't always many firms in a market. If goods are homogeneous, then it is assumed that there is no need for advertising or branding. But since this is not the case, firms may use advertising to influence consumers to buy their product, even when it's not in their best interest. And thanks to information failure, some people don't understand the full costs and benefits of the product being advertised. For example, alcohol companies advertise their drinks, but when consumers buy this product, they may be addicted to it, causing health problems and abuse of others. Alcohol also causes negative externalities in consumption, such as increases in drunk driving. Speaking of externalities, these are the third-party or knock-on effects from a firm or individual's actions. A negative externality is when the consumption or production of a good causes a harmful effect on a third party. Business production of their goods and services has also hurt society. The most commonly cited negative externality in production is when businesses emit polluting gases like carbon dioxide. This can increase the intensity of climate change, negatively affecting the rest of the planet. This represents a higher social marginal cost than the private marginal cost. There are also positive externalities where consumption or production of a good benefits a third party. An example would be schools, since a more educated populace would lead to a more productive economy. Schools and healthcare would also be considered merit goods, since their benefits are underestimated, and it is hard to stop third parties benefiting from public goods like the military and police. This means positive externalities, merit goods and public goods are underprovided by the market to society, which is why we need healthcare as a right. In addition, the market can't provide all the resources society needs at all times due to an immobility of the factors of production. For instance, workers may face geographical immobility if they are unable to move somewhere else to find work.
Oh yes, I plan on elaborating further into behavioral economics that delves into human irrationality in the markets, as well as explain the concept of externalities in future videos.
Zip it, Tharun, and stop shamelessly shilling your videos. You're worse than the big businesses who advertise to vulnerable consumers. Speaking of big business, when there are only a few firms with high market power, like monopolies and oligopolies, they can use their bargaining power to raise prices and lower output. Since there is a lack of competition, consumers would have little recourse to deal with this. Also, interesting how you are here, Bezos, considering you were too cowardly to confront me in one of those Senate hearings where your Amazon employee will speak, since she and others are trying to form a union, which you have been blocking. The hearing is also about income inequality. And don't get me started on inequality, where wealth and income are unevenly distributed.
Thanks, Bernie. And now to Mr. Bezos.
Well, Bernie, I agree that the market isn't perfect, but that doesn't mean government intervention and policies are a viable solution to every market failure. Government failure is the misallocation of resources and decline in welfare caused by government intervention. To start off, the public sector does not have the same incentives as the market to be as productive. As in, there is no incentive for government services to cut costs and increase quality. This can lead to higher deficits and unsatisfied users of these services. This is because if a business fails to cut costs and have higher quality services, they go out of business. But there is more reluctance to fire workers, especially if they are a union. P.S. That's why I don't have unions. This is reinforced by how politicians in charge of government policies may not understand a particular market and have their own information failure, in contrast to businesses who are in much closer contact and may have survived due to their expertise in this market. Furthermore, regulations can increase costs for businesses, and since most businesses have razor-thin profit margins, they will most likely go out of business. This reduced competition is great for the monopolies you hate so much, or they may pass these costs on to consumers, leading to cost-push inflationary pressures. This increases the deadweight welfare loss, where both consumer and producer surplus is lost. Luckily, business people like me are good, perfect angels because we want to increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour.
Oh, actually, I think your point about big business monopolies benefiting from regulations is quite relevant here. Labor is quite a significant amount of business costs, and a rise in the minimum wage again cuts businesses' razor-thin profits. This can sadly lead to business closures, as you said, as well as a rise in real wage unemployment.
Shut up, Tharun! No, where was I? Oh, yes. Other government policies can lead to moral hazards. For instance, the government acted as a lender of last resort for banks when they failed back in the 2008 recession, so taxpayers had to bail them out. And now, banks connected with the government are incentivized to fail, since they know they will be bailed out again. Talk about too big to fail, and all this points to how government is vulnerable to the influence of special interest groups. These influences can be in the form of favorable tax deductions, subsidies, which may not be in the best interests of society.
Well, that seems to be enough for today. There are many other types of market and government failure, but these are the most notable ones. Thank you to both of our speakers, particularly to Bezos, since he was voiced by Michael Move, a fantastic YouTuber who himself is a defender of free markets and was one of the first people I was in contact with. He also introduced me to the group I am currently a part of called Ad Hoc, which is why I included him in my 50th video special. And thank you for 71 subscribers and 6,000 views. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give a like and comment, as it really helps my video in the YouTube algorithm. And if you like economics and political commentary, consider subscribing. Maybe follow me on my Twitter, and see you later.